So good evening and welcome everyone. So I'm just like we were invited by our honorable clerk, Lucy Adame-Clark, right? When we presented this idea and this education a few weeks ago, actually a month ago, she was like, hey, I really want this to be presented to some of our staff, right? And then that's why I'm here. And my name is Saban Poudyal, and that's my wife, Mamata. Originally, we are both from Nepal, right? It's a very small country in between China and India, right? This is like, I think 6 times smaller than Texas, right? So 6 Nepals can fit in 1 Texas, right? So a little bit of my background, I came here in America in 2006 as a foreign international student, right? And then with the big dream and big hopes, right? And then they say like, hey, if you go to the US, the street will be paved up with gold, and then you can pick up a dollar from the tree, and that happened to be it's a store, not the actual tree that gives the dollar, right? So Dollar Tree was not the real place where I can get the dollar, right? So I went and worked my way up. I was always told, go to school, get a good grades, find a good job, right? And that's what I did. I ended up getting 3 degrees in accounting and finance, right? I always say I'm a very rich on degree, very poor in pocket, right? Until I discover myself, right? So I have my undergrad degree in accounting and finance, and then I did my accounting and MBA later. And then again, somebody told me like, hey, you need to do a CPA as an accounting to make a lot of money. And I was like, okay, let me do it. That's the one reason I came to this country, was like, I have a prosperous life, right? So I did the CPA and all this stuff. I did not take the certificate because the state of California didn't allow me because of my international status and all this stuff, right? And then I said like, okay, you can keep all your regulations. I'm out of here. I'm moving to Texas, right? 2019, a job moved me into Texas. I was a corporate CFO for a small startup company. For there, I served them for 3 years based out of Austin, right? And then when I got my citizenship in early 2000, I kind of felt it like I don't want to do what I do, right? I bought my house and I kind of felt it like, okay, do I need to work for 30 years so I can pay off this house? That is not what I signed up. I have a fully paid house back home in Nepal, all my family. I left all those so I can achieve better, but I'm living a miserable life, right? I came as a debt-free guy. 2020, I ended up racking up $500,000 debt out of nowhere, right? House, business, and all this stuff. So I kind of get frustrated, and I started getting into an entrepreneurship world. And then if you see most people from Nepal and India, they are very specialized in 3 businesses: a gas station, a restaurant, or a liquor store, right? So I chose the restaurant business, right? Every time you go here, like that's where they own it, right? So I went to a restaurant business, and with God's grace, I was able to build the business in a COVID time, right? Because it came as a blessing in disguise for us, because we were buying like closed out businesses, like we were paying dollar towards the penny, pennies towards the dollar, right? So we some of our friends, we bought like a 1 restaurant, 2 restaurant, 3 restaurant. And at the end of the day, what I was really chasing was time and money freedom, right? That's all we are chasing in life, right? I got the money freedom, but I was always away from my family, right? My wife is a nurse, so I had to, all my restaurant and breweries were in Dallas. So every Thursday, I had to drive to Dallas. Every Monday, I come back from the Dallas. And Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, my wife works 12 hours a shift at the Methodist Hospital. So we were living in the same house, sleeping in the same bed, but we never see each other, right? And I started asking the question, is this truly what I want in my life? Is this what I came to this country, right? And America is the only country that has a dream associated with it. You cannot find a Nepalese dream, Chinese dream, English dream, right? Here is the only country that has a dream. We all immigrants come here for what? Living the American dream. But I looked at it, 90% of the people are chasing the dream but living the nightmare, right? And that's when somebody introduced me this 3 philosophy called a new art of living. What exactly people want is a time and money freedom. They want a discipline. Most people regret, like like if you ask, like of course you guys are in a government place, you guys have like more data to back up all what I'm saying, right? So if you ask like a 75% of American, what is their biggest fear? Is running out of their money during their retirement age, right? And they are not certain like what kind of a benefit they're gonna get it. So they're always running away. They don't have enough money at the end, right? And the third is like they never have a mindset or the elevated mindset where they can achieve their stuff, right? And this is what we call, when we solve these 3 stuff with this philosophy, we call it the new art of living, right? So the picture is not that clear, but that 3 belief represent each of the philosophy, right? So I'm going to go a little bit into detail on this one, right? So what are the major challenges that a majority of people in America facing, right? Number one is high debt, right? Everybody has debt, right? This is what I realized. Like, I bought a house and I have to stay 4 to 5 days away from that house, so eventually I can pay off that house, right? And I have to do that for 25 to 30 years. I was like, why do I even have a house at that point, right? And that other is like a lack of family time. Everything I'm doing it so I can spend some extra hours with my family, but here I am, always on the road, away from the family, right? And then the kids are raised by somebody else because both of us has to go to the work, right? And all of a sudden I realized, why in Nepal we don't leave our parents even when they're old, because they don't left us when we were young. And I see in America, when the kids are young, they are taken care by the daycare, and when the parents get older, they are taken care by the living home facility. And that's what I said, like, that's a karma. What goes around comes around, right? And I don't want to do that. I want my kids to be raised by me, right? I'm taking care of both of our parents, her parents, my parents. They both live in a same house. We're taking about parents, right? And that's what we wanted, right? But that doesn't happen because of our same thing, right? Running in the same cycle. Third is like a compromised lifestyle. I always ask this question. I ask that question to myself, and I always ask people to ask this question to themselves, right? When I walk into the restaurant, do I look at the right side of the menu first or the left side of the menu? If I'm looking at the right side of the menu and looking at the affordability, I don't have a quality family. I have a compromised lifestyle, right? And the third one is called the limited income flow. Regardless of how many degrees I have, I can only earn up to a certain level, right? I have a limitation on it, right? As a corporate CFO, I was making like the upside of as a CFO and a restaurant owner, I was making like a little over like $200,000, but that was my cap. I couldn't do it. I couldn't break that glass ceiling. So I was like, how do I actually work and build a business where I can help people on education, right? So how do you take care of these challenges is by one thing called the philosophy of multi-handed. What is the philosophy of multi-handed? Think of it this way. When I own one restaurant, what happens? I'm working there. But the McDonald's owns millions of restaurants, right? But the owner never works there. That's called a multi-handed system. So any business, if I can leverage other people's time and I can earn the money, that's called a multi-handed system, but most people don't know how, right? Number two challenges we face is like a lack of saving discipline. I would always say, like in America, people, whenever I ask people, like, you need to start learning savings, they say, like, oh, I don't have money, I'm broke. I always say, you are not broke, you have a broken habit, right? I'm gonna show you guys how a $10 and someone who makes $10 an hour, if they work right way, they can end up with millions of dollars without any assistance, right? Any aid. That it just comes with a better financial discipline. And number two is lack of financial education. If we properly educate, I was talking to one of my friends and then I was reading some of those articles, right? Number one crisis in America for the last 3 decades is a lack of financial education. I went to study accounting and taxes, but I could only use that to help other people. It was an irony. I'm the guy who saves millions of dollars taxes for the corporation, but in my W-2, I could not even save $1, right? And I said, like, there is something broken. I gotta figure it out, right? And then the third one is an insecure financial future. I actually, again, I always say, I read this quote from John Maxwell, one of the greatest leaders, right? And he says, the quality of life you're gonna live when you start asking quality questions to yourself, right? And I took it seriously, right? So I asked like a lack of financial future, how it is. Like I was like, if I work 40 hours a week for 40 years of life and I cannot retire with $40,000 a year, what am I even doing, right? And this country is the land of opportunity. Am I just missing it out, right? And I said, like, okay, let me figure out what exactly it is. And one of the biggest things is procrastination, lost time for a wealth creation. People say, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, and that tomorrow never comes in, right? There was one video I was listening yesterday by Bob Proctor. He says, like, the amount of things that we procrastinate when we go back in our deathbed, it's like has become a mountain, right? So a lot of things we put it for tomorrow, we never do it. And that's what it happens even when you come to the wealth creation, right? And how do you actually take care of this is by this philosophy, right? What is the philosophy? Imagine when we collect the money and we open the door, right? Who is the first person standing to collect our paycheck? Is the mortgage company, the bank. then the car company, then this, and that, right? And where is my family really standing is in the back of that line, right? Right? Whoever you pay the bill, that person gets rich. So why don't I reverse that? Why don't I take my family inside, and the first thing I do is whatever money I make it, I create a habit and I pay 10% to my own for my family, and the rest I spend. If we start doing that, nobody's gonna run out of money, right? But when we're doing that, we need to understand the 3 rules of money and the 3 goals that money has to achieve in our life, right? So we're gonna discuss that later, right? And that's the second philosophy. And a third major challenges that we see in America is a lack of confidence. People have so much self-doubt and a low confidence that we don't see it, especially in today's generation, right? Number 2 is self-doubt. They trust everybody else except themselves, right? Third one is what? Lack of winning spirit, right? When you ask something, they always say like, oh no, I'm not gonna do it, right? This is, you guys might see like I put my own last name on my back of my shirt, right? And one of my quotes says like, when do we go for entertainment? We are looking for the heroes, but when we go for the self-improvement, you become the heroes for your own family. And he asked me, so if your kids start putting somebody else's name on their back and they think instead of you as a father hero, somebody else's hero, how would you feel? And I was like, I'm not gonna feel good if that happens, right? So from that day, I decided if I'm gonna put anybody's name on my back, that's gonna be me only, right? So that's called like building the winning spirit, right? And the last one is a lack of focus. We have this little device that takes all of our focus right now, right? And this is where most people are going, right? And how exactly this all thing can be taken care is by this philosophy of self-improvement, right? And when you combine, you can get 1 out of one place, 2 out of other place, 3 out of other place, all other card. But nobody provides everything in a one platform as a one bundle group, right? And that's what we call it in Scala. When we empower family with these 3 things, we call it as a new art of living. When people have all 3 things figured out, that's what we call new art of living, right? So I'm just gonna dissect each section little by little, right? So what is it? Let's understand the first philosophy of multi-handed income. What exactly this means, right? So first, we need to ask this question to ourselves, right? Currently, how is my income is produced? Is my income is produced based on my skills and hours, or it is produced by the system that I have created, right? 90% of the people is skills and hours. For me, I was an undergrad. I was making, when I got my undergrad degree, I was making $25 an hour. When I got the master's, I raised the price like that, little bit of skills and a per hour rate to like a 40 to 50 bucks, right? And when I got my CPA, I raised it to a 75 bucks. But that's pretty much it. But day I don't work, the money doesn't flow in my family, right? Number 2, the current income is a rented or a owned, right? 90% of the people, their income is rented, right? And the third one is, when I don't want to do it, can I transfer the source of income to my kids and my family? Right? Most of the time, it is not. Even like I can be a best CPA, I cannot transfer that to my wife. And it's like, hey, I'm not going to do it, you are. I cannot do that, right? And then third one is, can I even sell the source of income that produces the income, right? 90% answer is no, right? But if I really wanted to live the life that I want, if anybody wanted to really truly live time freedom, money freedom, and build the happiness around it, what they really need is a system-driven income that they own, which they can eventually transfer to their kids and the family, or they sell it, right? 90% of the time what happens, like they work all the way up here, and when their next generation has to build it, they don't build from here, they build from here. Because why? They cannot transfer it. But if you look at the wealthy side of the American, like some of the family, right? Charles Schwab, or the Rockefeller, or all these things, what they have is they have a system-driven income. This next generation always take care of where they left. That's why this family is like wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, where our family is like getting poorer and poorer. We're like a generationally cursed. My father has something, I have little, my kids not gonna have anything, right? So how do we do it? Now let's look at it. How exactly this single-handed income is produced? It's a salary. I'm working for somebody else. I'm selling 8 to 10 hours out of my 24 hours, and I'm making a limited income. What happens? Or I have a small businesses, real estate, or like a car sales, whatever. Then I'm making what? In a commission, right? And the third one is a margin. Just like me, I started a restaurant, I buy stuff, fix it, and then sell it. That's called margin, right? So what happens? When I do that, I'm always stuck at a single-handed. But how does the multi-handed income work? Is a royalty. I built the business, and I let other people to run it, and I collect the royalty, right? Majority of business works that way. Number two, dividend. If I build the business and a company is making profit, I should be part of what? Dividend, right? And a third is, if I don't want to run it all the time, I can sell it and earn the capital gain, right? And these are produced by the skills and hours, right? And these are produced by what? System, right? Now let's understand the philosophy of 10% 3 rules, right? What exactly it means, just like I said, right? Imagine you're making $10 an hour or like $100 an hour. First 10% pay to yourself as if you are paying the bills or the taxes, which we never think, right? If we do it, and that applies to all 3 rules of the money and 3 goals of the money, guess what? Eventually we're gonna have a wealth that we don't need to depend on anyone, right? What exactly that is, right? First, say the minimum. What is that minimum? 10% of your paycheck. That 10% of a paycheck gonna make you wealthy. I always say this to most people, right? The money you save makes you rich. Money you spend keeps you poor, right? That's a simple. Nobody can argue with that, right? And that's what it is. So if you save 10% and you spend the 90% on other stuff, what's gonna happen? You always end up with the money, right? Now, what exactly this 10% need to do? It need to apply 3 rules of money, right? Number one, it need to grow. If money doesn't grow, it loses the value, right? So it need to compound and grow. And then nothing new. Compound interest, we studied in what, 8th grade in algebra, right? But we never learned how to create wealth with doing this, right? Number 2, risk effect. I always ask this question: what percentage of your asset do you feel comfortable to lose during the next market crash? Doesn't matter, whatever it is, 401k, 403b, pension plan, whatever it is, your stock, your stuff, right? What percentage of that asset do you feel comfortable to lose during the next market crash? If answer is 0, do you have a effective strategy, right? And number 3, what percentage of that the money, hard-earned money, you wanted to give it to your favorite uncle, Uncle Sam? If the answer is 0, do we have that strategy? So once we understand these 3 philosophies, now we can pick what fits my bill, right? Now let's understand the 3 accomplishments, right? What are the 3 sequences that money has to do? Would you guys agree that all of our dream is associated with our amount of income that we produce, right? And the income is produced because my ability to produce the income, right? Now let's ask this question, right? If I become dependent to my dependent, who's gonna produce the income? Is the income gonna flow, right? Is it the biggest asset that I have in my family is my ability to produce the income, right? So is my ability to income producing is protected or not, right? Let's say, and I always say, we might get like a different kind of insurance from work or marketplace, right? But I always ask, what if you don't die? What can happen? What if you grow old, right? That money is grown enough to replace your income later. You don't have to worry about it and be dependent on anyone. Not to government, not to kids, or not to family, right? And then third one is, when I am not here, am I transferring that money or wealth to my next generation, or am I transferring the tax burden and then the debt to them, right? So these are the questions I always like to ask people, right? So when you have a saving habit, when you have empowering them by the 10% savings rules, and I have a secure financial future, that's when people are gonna start learning and have like a better life, right? So let's understand the compound interest, right? There is this thing called rule of 72, and this formula was derived on 1409 by this mathematician called Lucas Palacios, right? And he says, like, if you take the number 72, divide by the rate of interest that you are making, whatever number comes in that many years, your money will compound and double itself. And then later on, this guy with the crazy hair named Albert Einstein says, like, if, he says this rule of 72 is the 8th wonder of the world, right? And he says, like, if you understand the rule of 72, but understand the compound interest, you make money. If you don't understand, you pay money, right? How does that work? Like, let's say someone saves at a 4%, CDs, bonds, something like that, that gives you 4%, right? And puts like a $10,000. 72 divided by 4 is 18. Every 18 years, my 10,000 getting 4% compound interest is gonna be like what, 20,000. At 47, I'll have a 20. At 65, I'll have 40, right? Does that excite anyone, right? 2, let's say I started understanding the 8%, right? That's gonna compound every 18 years and double itself, right? What happens? At age 29, I put one time 10,000. That becomes 20,038, 4740, 5680, and 65. It's 160. If I double the interest, I quadruple my money. 90% of the people don't even know, right? What if I get 12%, then the same 10,000 becomes $640,000. One time, age 29 or 30. And this is the irony, right? I have seen people saving more than $10,000 every year for 30, 40 years of their life, and still they don't end up with a $640,000 on their retirement fund and anything. Right? They understand the compound interest, but they don't understand how the market works, right? They understand the accumulation phase, but they don't understand the risk stage, right? So next thing, you need to understand how the money is grown, right? So risk stage is like what? There is a no growth strategy. What does that mean? Putting money into the bank or CDs, right? Very safe. It never goes down, but doesn't grow either, 2 to 4%, not much, right? Now the second one is grow with the risk, putting money directly in the market, right? 401k, 403b, 520, whatever it is, stock market, right? You put money there, it goes, sometimes it goes 20% up, sometimes it drops 20% down, right? It's like a up and down your heartbeat, right? And you never know when I'm gonna get a heart attack, right? And that's how I felt it, right? I used to be a day trader, and when I lost like almost $80,000 in a day, I was like, I better learn these strategies, right? Because I didn't have another money, right? And that was 2020, right? And guess what happened? And then there is a growth without the risk. And it's like a hybrid of this thing, right? It's called indexing strategy, right? What they do, you participate in the upside of the market, but when the market goes down, you don't participate on the downside. You don't participate all the way up. You participate around 10 to 15%, but when you go down, you don't participate, right? And these are the strategies out there. And the first time, and then you might say like, hey, I've never heard this indexing strategy, right? And I was either, right? Being a financial student, I didn't know. But I found out this strategy first time invented in 1960s and implemented in 1976 in the US market. How come I didn't know? Because the bank and a financial institute never teaches it, right? The financial advisor, they never teaches it. Like the CPA like me who just know how to do their job has not even a clue on this one. Why? Because nobody teaches us these things, right? But most like a wealthy side of the Americans have these, right? But we all have access to this one. Now let's look at it. This is on the protection stage, right? Now, taxes. I don't know how many of you love paying taxes. I don't, right? But there are 3 ways we have to pay taxes. What is a tax now? Checking account, savings, CDs, stocks, mutual fund, all of these, right? I earn it, I pay every year. On April 15th, I have to pay the taxes, right? Number 2, tax later. 401k, 403b, SEP, IRA, pension, TSP, all this stuff, right? What happens? I don't pay now. I defer it. But when I'm at age 60 or 62 or 65, whatever the age they allow us to take it, I have to pay tax at that time, at that rate, right? What do you guys think? The income tax bracket of America going to go up, or do you think it's going to go down?
Goes up.
Go up, probably. I don't know, right? Just looking at the trend of the debt that America is racking, the math is not mathing if it's going down, right? It has to go up, right? But let's say, does it make sense if I earn it and defer it on my low tax bracket, and I access it in a high tax bracket? And most people say like, oh, by the time when I'm 60, I don't have income, so I don't need to work. You still have to live. You still have to bills to pay. You have to eat food, right? So any amount of money that you are making, whatever amount you make it, that's where you're going to be on the tax bracket. So these accounts actually has to differ. You're going to access on the seed and the gate. And then there are a couple of strategies where there are a tax advantage. You pay on the seed, you have to pay regardless, right? You pay now, you pay later, or you pay never. But you pay at the seed, but you let that money grow in a Roth IRA or LIRPs, so you don't pay on the gate. So it doesn't matter 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years later, wherever the tax goes, that side of the money is safe, right? So I always teach people like, hey, whenever I'm teaching this kind of thing, I say like, don't diversify your portfolio on the accounts, diversify your portfolio on the taxes, so you don't have, which you don't have a control over, right? And then this is where in the distribution phase, right? So now let's look at the company that have revolutionized the industry has a few things in common, right? So every company that are really big has one thing and one thing common is called philosophy, right? So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, right? So let's say the company, philosophy, and product. We all know Amazon, right? When was the last time we bought something from Amazon? Maybe yesterday, maybe we are buying today, maybe last time, right? So and Eddie, right? So if I ask you, Eddie, so if you order something today and Amazon sends you an email, so like, Mr. Eddie, your product will be delivered in 30 days and $60 in a shipping and handling, and there's no free return. Would you ever buy from Amazon at that time?
No.
No. So we really don't care what company it is and what product they sell. as long as there is no convenience. So Amazon does not sell product, they sell what? Convenience. Same thing. Let's say you are like, this session took a little longer, I don't know what I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna go to McDonald's and grab some food, right? And you go to McDonald's, order chicken nuggets, right? And they say like, sir, it's gonna take you 45 minutes to get your chicken nugget. Would you ever go there? No. And I found out the chicken nugget in McDonald's doesn't even have a chicken. So I don't know what I'm eating, right? But why am I going is because of the fast. I order here, by the time I get there, within a 30 to 1 minute, my food is in there, right? So if I take convenience and a fast away from these two companies, nobody wants to use it. Same thing, Starbucks, coffee. I mean, let's be very honest, right? There are much better coffee shops than Starbucks, but why would we go there, right? Because when we go there, like a 7-Eleven, they have the best coffee, by the way, right? If you like the dark black coffee, right? They have the best one for $1, right? Any size. But why we don't go there, but we go to Starbucks and pay like a $2.75? Because when we order it, what is the one thing that we love is our name. And what they do is they call us by our name. They prepare it for us, and then we pay right there with the app, whatever, right? And we can sit down, we can lounge, we can work, we have Wi-Fi, all this stuff. So we are really not going for the coffee. What we are going is for the experience, right? Next thing, Uber. What they are in the business, ride business, right? Imagine you order the Uber and say like, it's gonna show up in like a 1.5 hours, or there is a line. We're not gonna order the Uber, right? But what Uber believes, anywhere, anytime, whenever you need it. Accessibility, right? So if we take their philosophy away, they are just random company who never wants to work, right? So who are we? We are called wealth builders, right? Our brand name is a wealth builder. That's what I was wearing earlier, right? And we are backed by a 7th largest investment insurance company, the parent company, Aegon. Aegon Transamerica is our broker dealer. Am I working for them? No. Just like if I drive for Uber, I'm not working for them. I'm just building my business using their platform, right? So if I want to build a financial business, I want to use the 7th largest company whose annual revenue is over $300 billion, right? They have all the lawyers, all the everything. They can give all the compliance that I needed, so I have a peace of mind to build the business, right? But we are in a financial service. But if you take the multi-handed philosophy, 10% three goals, and a self-improvement from us, we're just one of those corner financial company who doesn't do anything to people, right? We're just trying to sell a product. So that's why we are different from other, right? And now let's look at this. Now let's look at the philosophy, right? Solution and companies, what we do. So what we teach, multi-handed, 10% three goals, and self-improvement, right? What are the solutions that people have? We educate people there. We can get whatever financial product they need based on their need, not what people offer, like other company offer, right? So it could be Roth IRA, LERP, annuity, term, LV, financial experience, whatever. They can pick and choose. Once they are educated, they can pick and choose what solution. Now, what company that can work, right? Any company that's out there listed, right? From the Vanguard to Prudential to Transamerica to Fidelity to all the company, 240 companies that listed. If I open up a company by myself, do you think I'm going to get that level of a contract? No, because these contracts are given by the Aegon, so they give us the luxury of using those contracts, so we can work directly with those companies, right? And they can choose the right company. So what we do, we empower family with the education, and then we connect them with the distribution model. By doing that, they can pick and choose what they need, where they need, and how they need, and they don't have to pay any money to me. Why? Because just like Amazon, we don't pay the vendor, we just pay the Amazon, they pay us, right? So it's like they get the free service, they get the free education, they don't have to pay any fee, and I make the money, right? It's a win-win-win situation, right? And people can make an educated decision rather than guesswork, right? So now let's look at our platform, right? So multi-handed income, what we do, we develop the multi-handed business locations through our philosophy. Just like I was giving like an example of Starbucks, right? If Starbucks wants to increase the revenue, what they need to add? The new location or the new flavor of the coffee, right? What do you think is gonna generate them more revenue? The new location, right? Because once they have a new location, they can sell more. Same thing. When we want to have a multi-handed income, what I need to learn is like, how do I expand more at different places without me being there to run independently? That's called the multi-handed system, right? And then, just like some of these companies, we are working to build our own locations, right? In a financial, it's called the brokerage model, right? Just like a real estate. Now, what we do here, we prioritize education before planning any financial stuff. We prioritize people about helping them to understand why saving is necessary, how all these 3 rules works, how the 3 goals work, so they can prioritize themselves, right? And the last but not the least is provide people an environment where they can realize true potential. I thought I was the guy who cannot talk in front of people. Public speaking was not the best suit, right? I used to get scared, right? And then when I started identifying my true potential, when I started investing on me, I found this is one of the best things. Right now, you can put me in front of 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 people, I have no problem. I can speak, right? But until then, I only speak with the spreadsheet and then the QuickBooks and all those accounting softwares, right? But I can identify the true potential on this one, right? So now let's understand the power of multi-handed income, right? So most people, here they are, and that's where they're all the dreams and goals. It's uphill battle all the time, right? So what happens? January 1st, they started working. December 3rd, they are done with the work. They have a predetermined income, salary, or wages, what they are, right? So they have to earn the same income every year. At the end of the year, they earned everything, so they're back at 0. So they have to re-earn the same money over and over and over and over, right? So they do that throughout the year for 30 to 40 years of their life. And guess what happens? They stay there single-handed for pretty much the rest of their life, right? What happens? They don't have no time for saving, they don't have no earnings, they have a limited income, they are just living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. 1 month, I'm out, I don't have enough money to pay for my rent or my mortgage or anything. That's what it is, right? But what happens when you start generating the income? What happens there? When we have a multi-handed system-driven multi-handed system, once you earn it, you own it. What does that mean? Let's say, because we are in a financial industry, we have to build the brokerages, right? So let's say, if I started this, I become a broker and I built 3 brokerages that actually have a 40 license. And who issues the license? State government issues the license for this, right? Certificate and license. Let's say I have 40 licenses in my team and I have a 3 location, then my passive income become what? $250,000. Now next year, whether I do something or not, because all 3 locations works independent of me, I still make that, right? And that's where we are standing right now, right? I started 5 years ago, I learned this, I'm here. Now our goal is what? To get there. 6 locations, having an 80 license. When I do that, what's gonna happen? My income will be $500,000, whether I work or not, that's gonna be my income because I earned it, I own it, right? Now, same thing, if I have a 9 location with 120 licenses, my income goes to $1 million. Now I say is there a possibility? That's the only question I ask, right? Like I said, 20 years ago, I came in this country to find a possibility, opportunity, right? But when I saw it, I was like, let me figure it out, right? Once I get there, guess what? I can fulfill all my dreams and experience. Would it be right to say if we all make a $50,000 a month, 90% of our dreams and goals will be fulfilled? For most of us, if we start making 50,000, pretty much, right? But we don't know how, right? And that's when I understand the concept of building business, building location that is independent of me, that does not require my time and my skill, I can be what? I can have more time for my family, I can have more time for myself, I can save more money, and I can be more happy, right? So now that's what it is, right? And then now, general business concern, right? What people want. People are scared of to start a business, you need a lot of money, investment, right? Just to be honest, right? When we started a restaurant, our SBA loan was over $5 million. Right? We're still in that debt, but luckily the restaurant, my partners are working so hard, I don't have to pay any money out of pocket right now, right? Number 2, time. Most people are so busy working 8 to 5 and working for building other people's business, they don't have time for themselves. I always say, build other people's business for 8 to 5, that pays the bill. But when you work 5 to 8 for 2 to 3 years, that builds your fortune. Right? When I started learning this thing, I didn't have time. I was working full time as a CFO. I was running my restaurant full time. I barely had a time for my own family and wife. But I said, you know what? If I keep doing this, I will never achieve the dream that I want. Right? So I cut what are the time I cut it? My social media time, my Netflix time, my drinking habit, all the stuff I cut it. Then I started learning new skills. Right? Need the bigger the demand, bigger the opportunity. Would you agree that right now, people are always looking for all their dreams, they are looking at the government, right? Whatever their dream, my finance is not good, government should pay me more on my social security. They need to give me this benefit. all their broken dreams, people are looking into government. But if we actually solve that problem, they don't have to rely on anybody, right? Number four is that difficult to succeed without knowledge, right? Without knowledge, you cannot succeed, right? And last, people are so scared of taking risk, right? So what exactly it is? To get a government license, like this is a certificate, how much it's gonna cost you? Depending on the state, 150 to 200 bucks, right? You can get a license, you can build you become a 1099 employee, you can start working, you can build your businesses, right? Number two, flexible time. I came as a flexible, I came here to learn my own stuff, so I can learn how finance works, I can learn how taxes work, so I can implement on me. But I saw an opportunity to build business, then I created a business, right? And slowly I phased out from my job, slowly I phased out from my restaurant, handed over to all my partner, and I start building this business, right? Now, every needs and education, we provide the education through our philosophy, so people have all the education, right? And then the third is that we are trained by the professionals, right? Who has a vested interest on our success, right? And last, I mean, at least, if nothing, they're gonna have a better understanding of their own finance, and they know how to do it, right? Just I'm gonna give you one quick example, right? This gentleman, his wife is a dentist and owns like a 3 dentistry in Virginia, right? They're making like well over $1 million a year, and he has 2 financial advisor and 1 CPA. So when somebody referred me, he's like, dude, what exactly are you gonna teach me that I don't know? I was like, maybe there's something, maybe there's none. Let's sit down, right? And when we started talking, I started talking about the indexing strategy, how not to lose asset, and I asked that question: what percentage of your asset do you feel comfortable to lose during this market crash? I don't want to lose anything. So does your financial advisor, CPA, can provide you that strategy? Like, no, go ask them, right? And then come back if you don't get the answer. He went and asked their people, and they said like, you never asked those questions to me. I was like, that's the whole reason I'm paying you, so I don't have to ask questions. You do it for me, right? He said like, bro, I want you to teach me. So what we did is that he had a pension plan from the state, and then he had from his private job prior to that, he has a 401k, which was like over $600,000, right? So what we did is like we rolled all of them in an IRA where we utilized the strategy called indexing strategy. When we did it, March 25th, 2025, and we all know April 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, market dipped significantly. He called me on the 6th, bro, you just saved me $98,000 from my stuff. Did I help it? They're like, I'm firing all my people and you're taking care of all my finance. I'm like, that's okay. I don't take care of anyone. I'm gonna teach you so you can do it, right? He's the biggest source of referral for me right now. He's like, you gotta talk to Saban. You gotta talk to Saban, right? And how much he paid me? $0.00. But how much I got paid? I got paid hefty by the big companies, right? Was that a win-win-win situation? Educated person like that who actually pay people to take care of their finances, still not getting that information, right? And then look, others, it is important for you guys to get this education so you can understand how your money works, right? Is it important for you guys to live a debt-free life and teach your kids how to live a debt-free life, right? Is it important for you guys to learn if there is a possibility to increase my income 5x or 10x, right? Working as an employee, my salary was increased based on my owner, right? Either 3%, either 10%. At one point, it was like a 26 cent an hour. I was like, what am I gonna buy with that money, right? And the last one is like a live a work-class lifestyle, right? So these are the stuff that we want to help people to accomplish, right? Through our philosophies and helping them to understand how to go from the single-handed to multi-handed, right? So, like I said, these are the 3 options that we have, right? My wife gonna give you this little thing called blue card. Whatever areas you're gonna want to learn, right? Do you gonna learn a one-on-one, in a Zoom, in person? Let us know. I will be there and help you to understand. Do you have to pay me anything? Absolutely not. If there's nothing I can do, that's okay. But if there is a way I can figure it out, I will definitely connect with the right place, with the right information, so you can make a better decision, right? So, can you give the blue card and pen? So, like, I'm gonna leave this for a few seconds, right? And I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to this one later, right? So remember, I told you guys that if someone actually makes $10 an hour, can still create a wealth. If they make the $10 an hour for the rest of their life, they still can change their fortune, right? By how? Let's say if somebody's making $10 an hour and working 10 hours a day, if they say, first hour I will pay to myself, Other 9 I'll pay to other. How much money he or she saves? Roughly $3,600 a month, a year, right? Let's say if they put that money for 40 years, at age 20, working in a McDonald's, let's say put that money in 40 years, they're gonna be what? 60 at that time, right? And they earn 10% by using the indexing strategy. They're gonna end up with a $1.7 million. So I always say, it's not you don't have money. We just don't have the proper education about money, right? If we teach this to our teenage kids, the day they start working, hey, you know what? First hour you're giving me, I'm gonna set up something for you so you don't have to worry about it. Do you think by the time they are 40, 50, they will ever have money? And then you put that into a trust and another tax sheltered account. Now the next generation starts from that foundation, right? This is how you create wealth. It's not by earning more money, it's starting saving little by little by little, right? And another funniest thing I'm gonna show you, right? Let's say, you guys know this company called Goldman Sachs, right? They lowered their investment account to what? From $2 million to $1 million liquidity. How many people we know has $1 million? Not that many. Let's say we found someone, financial advisor, who actually gives us a friends and family discount and they allows us to put $250,000, right? $250,000, a couple more zeros, right? And then let's say I invest that money for 30 years. I started at 30 and I wanted to retire at 60. I don't want to put a single dollar, and it's compound annually, and then it earns 10%. Let's say they gave me a discount. Instead of 2% management fee, they gave me 1.5% management fee. Right? Pretty good deal, right? If that happens. I'm gonna end up with 2.7 million, but one thing they don't tell us is how much fee that they are making off my money, just managing my own money. And that's when I say, like, that's a 1.5 million reason I need to learn this, right? What if? And then the beauty is, they're gonna put that into some kind of account, which you have to pay tax, capital gain tax again. And then you're, that 20 to 50% straight tax on that one. Right? Imagine you learn it, and when you are doing it, you ask this question, hey, what am I getting? What kind of strategy? What kind of stuff? Can I do it by myself and not pay anyone? Right? I always ask this question. Who cares about your money more than you do? Nobody does, right? And I don't blame these guys because they are called the asset under management, so they make 1%, 1.5% of the money, so they have to charge you that money to pay their bills. So they're not going to give you the education. If they educate you, that 1.5 million is not going to be there. That's going to be yours, right? So I always say, we have information, but we are not informed. And here we are to create this movement. Am I expecting anything from you guys? No. Let's say this information helps you to understand something, and down the road you say like, hey, I like this. Maybe if it's now, if it's tomorrow, if somebody you know need this help, you can always refer to me, and I can more than happy to help them, right? And this is where we call this amazing philosophy, we call it a new art of living, right? We want everybody who wants to learn this new art of living so they can build their life, right? So, like I said, if you guys, or if you know anyone who wants to learn how to get this multi-handed income and get the licensing in all this stuff, we are here to help. If you know, like, hey, I need to learn how to save money, understand 3 rules, 3 goals, and secure my financial future, my kids, everyone, we are here to do it, right? If you wanted to refer someone, or even wanted to learn about some of our programs that we do, right, in future, or what kind of environment we provide, let us know. We're there to help, right? So I think I stayed on time. Actually, yes, 10 minutes. I finished right on time. I just want to make sure. I know it's freezing. My hands are like a nut.
Yeah, it's cold. They keep a lot of the documents and historical documents and all that here that needs to be preserved, and it needs to be cold in here. So that's
no, I was like, I usually don't bring my coat, and today I was like, let me just bring it. I'm glad I did. So I hope the information was good for you guys, right? And then if there's any questions, please fill out whatever you guys wanted to talk. I'm there to help, right? If you guys say, like, Saban, we wanted to talk one-on-one, can you come here? I'm more than happy. My office is just 15 minutes away from here. If you want to sit down, like, hey, we don't have time meeting one-on-one, but we'll do it in Zoom, more than happy to send you guys the link, email. So more than happy. Any questions, anything that you have, hey, I heard this, I want clarification that, write it down and we can meet and see, right? It's not that like I have all the time that I don't get people to talk. I get stay very busy, but since Lucy is like so nice to us, so she is like, hey, you need to say that to our employees. So I will prioritize you guys, right? And I do want to say like within next 2 to 3 days, if we could sit down, because I want this information to fresh in your head, and I want your name and everybody's face fresh in my head as well, right? So.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.